Welcome everybody to another edition of FGI TV. I'm Jeff Bergerson. My screen name is JT Bergerson. I'm here as always with my partner Zach Turcott. His screen name is Mysteriously. We're from FantasyGolfInsider.com, where we offer fantasy golf advice, content, statistics, everything that you need to know to be successful and profitable playing fantasy golf. If you haven't checked us out, we encourage you to check us out, FantasyGolfInsider.com. We have premium content, become a member, and learn what we're doing to be successful playing fantasy golf. If you like these videos that we're doing, please let us know. We've gotten a ton of good feedback from you, so we're going to keep doing it, but we like hearing good feedback. It keeps us inspired and excited to keep working harder than we already do. So let us know. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's that little button below the video. Just click it. You'd help us out by doing that. The more subscribers we get, the better. And on that note, there's a ton of new improvements that we're going to make to FantasyGolfInsider.com in the coming weeks, starting the new fall season. Pretty outstanding stuff that no one else in the industry is offering. It's going to add a ton of value and help you build your lineups, be more successful and profitable. We're super excited about it, so look forward to that. Stay tuned with that. This week is kind of a big one for us personally. We haven't been getting a whole heck of a lot of sleep lately. The other night, Zach texted me at about 3 a.m. He says, you know, I just can't sleep. And I said, yeah, me either. And he was kind of surprised, and he shot me back. He said, yeah, I thought you might be up. But if you don't know, we've qualified for the Fantasy Golf World Championships at the Deutsche Bank this weekend in Boston. We're super excited. It's a huge opportunity. We have 2 of the 25 seats. Prize pool $600,000. First prize wins $200,000. So I think I've done more research this week than for any other contest I've done in my life. So
should help everybody be a big winner this week, you know?
I hope so. I hope we're a winner. I hope everyone at FGI is a winner. I hope we can bring home the championship for Team FGI this weekend. It would mean a lot to us. So before we start talking more about the Deutsche Bank, let's talk a little bit about last week, the Barclays. Zachary, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, it was a tricky week overall. I saw a lot of interesting things happening on Thursday and Friday. Back in 2011, this course played as one of the easier courses on tour. 3 rounds, and Dustin Johnson was minus 19. So a lot of folks thought, kind of going in, we'd see another score fest, and that turned out not to be the case at all. And we had a lot of big names that just kind of collapsed along the way. And obviously Jordan Spieth faltered a bit there. Koepka faltered a bit there. Ricky Fowler had a few tremendous holes where he fell apart on day 2. So there were a lot of unexpected guys that ended up missing the cut last week, but overall it wasn't too bad of a tournament. We had Jason Day. We got that little update that he had tweaked his back.
Tweaked his back, which
pulled out of the Pro-Am as Dustin Johnson had his sickness as well, which it's never easy to figure those things out. When we heard about Webb Simpson tweaking his back a few months back, we kind of left it alone. We didn't think much of it because we thought, well, he didn't withdraw, he's going to play anyways. Sure enough, he missed the cut. I'm not sure how much of a contributing factor the back
you never know
ended up being for the event, but with the back injury, you want to be careful, especially with a guy like Day, where he reasonably could have said that I'm still going to qualify for next week's event.
It wasn't that meaningful.
Yeah, and obviously losing the points would have hurt, but he still would have been on board for playing next week. But he just played brilliant golf Saturday and Sunday especially. I mean, nobody was even really close. Stenson got within a couple strokes on Sunday, but he just closed and
he blew away the field.
I mean, he just kept draining one long birdie putt after another and finished it up at 18 and really didn't look back. He won by 6 strokes over Stenson. So an amazing effort. We sort of thought Spieth was going to run away with Player of the Year after he had won back-to-back majors, but now I think Jason Day, if he wins the FedEx Cup and just keeps winning tournaments down the stretch, like he's got to be in the conversation. So
I think so.
So it was a tremendous tournament. As for the picks, I think we actually did pretty well. It looked a little bit ugly on Thursday when I woke up and saw that David Lingmerth was already essentially...
Twitter blew up at David Lingmerth.
Right.
They weren't too happy with his performance.
He'd essentially eliminated himself by the middle of the morning. But other than that, we ended up overall 17 out of 22 made it through the cut for our DraftKings write-up, and two of the misses, you've got Spieth and Koepka, so
right.
I'm not going to feel too bad about that. And we had 10 to 12 guys on the cash game list that made it through. Actually, I had 2 of my 3 cash game teams make it clean through 6 out of 6, so I was pretty happy with that. Maybe we got a little bit cute putting Lingmerth into the cash game. He'd been so good over the last few months with all the top 10 finishes and made cuts. It felt like he was ready to advance to that next level, and sure enough, he kind of let us down. So that was a little bit disappointing, but overall we had good feedback.
Good sleepers. Jason Bone kind of had his coming out party for the most part. We were on him. Sean, Stephanie.
We've known about Bone. We've been talking a little bit about Bone for the last.
Yeah, but now everyone knows.
Weeks. Yeah, hopefully, everybody does know now, especially Roger Casey.
He's admitted to it.
He even came around through Twitter and admitted that something special was happening here. So it was a proud moment for him. And we nearly had a nice run for Team FGI. In the $27, Roger was positioned really nicely. By the middle of Saturday, he was up into first place. And I think going into Sunday, he started out in 6th place, and then of course, the wheels completely fell off for him, which kind of happened with my team last year at the Barclays, so I don't feel too bad. But we did have some teams that were kind of in the running, but just couldn't quite close down the stretch for the GPPs. So no big results on the GPP side, but overall, a lot of good results as far as the cash game. How did your picks end up doing?
Our inaugural "Are you effing kidding me?" pick of the week, Ryan Palmer, surprised most everybody because he was owned by about 1 or 2% of just about every field that I saw on DraftKings. We got a lot of thanks for that. We had a lot of GPP success from people because they had Day and Palmer on some rosters. So that was definitely promising. Jason Bowen was another sleeper. Sean, Stephanie, 4 out of 5 sleepers made the cut, which is always good. Yeah. And the top guys, we had Day written up. The only surprises, like you mentioned, Spieth and Koepka. We're going to have unusual stuff like that happen. It's golf, it's unexpected, and it'll happen occasionally, but in the long term it'll even out and we'll be fine. So
yeah, well, moving on to this week, what do you think of the course?
Well, let's do the shot of the week first, shall we? You almost forgot. We've gotten a lot of good feedback on the shot of the week. People are liking that, so we couldn't choose. This week was a plethora of shots of the week, performances.
Comedy of errors as well as triumphs?
It was. So I'll just list them off. We won't do shots for every one or we'll be on the floor before we can get through them. But let's start with Charlie Hoffman, who found a way to 4-putt from 18 feet and put up a snowman on the par 5 12th hole on Thursday. So well done, Charlie. How about Bubba Watson?
Yeah.
What'd he do? 3-putt from about 3 feet?
I wasn't watching live. I thought there was something wrong with my phone. Wait a minute. He was putting for birdie from 3 feet and he made a bogey? That's real? Classic Bubba.
Ricky Fowler added a triple and a snowman to eliminate himself and miss the cut.
By 1 stroke.
Oh,
by 1 stroke.
That's painful.
Yeah.
William McGirt. I had him as on some of my rosters. He was -1 after the front 9 on Thursday. He finished the round at +8. He went in on 16, 17, 18 with a double, a double, and a triple.
Yeah, he was looking for the
way to close it out, Dirt nice. McGirt.
Beautiful.
Of course, we have to mention on the positive side, Brian Harman, 2 aces in 1 round.
Unbelievable.
Only the 3rd time in history that's happened. So on the positive side, we will add him. And finally, you want to do a shot here?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's my shot.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's my shot.
No, this one.
No, that one's my
this
shot.
One from.
No, that's for sure my shot.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll do a shot.
All right.
Oh shit, that was my shot over there. Damn it.
I knew it, man. I told you.
For those of you who aren't understanding what we're referring to, Bill Haas and Ryan Moore hit the wrong balls and incurred a 2-stroke penalty. So that's kind of embarrassing anytime that happens. So we thought we would dedicate that little...
Push Ryan Moore to a +10 in the first 2 days instead of a +8. So it was really devastating overall for his performance. But, no matter.
So that's the shot of the week. Thank you, Barry, for sharing that with us. Now we can preview this week's tournament. Do you want to share some of the key aspects of this week's tournament, Zach?
Yeah, the first thing we need to talk about this week is that the field is a little bit different. We've still got a cut this week, but we've only got 100 guys, actually 99 players in the field. Sergio is not playing this week, so we've got 99 guys in the field, and they're still only cutting down to 70 plus ties this week. So there's really going to be very few players who miss the cut, which gives us a little bit of a double-edged sword as far as the strategy you want to pursue. On the one hand, you want to be very aggressive with the players that you're selecting, because since so few players are actually going to miss the cut this week, that a 6-6 lineup in most weeks is golden. It's pretty rare that you're gonna lose with a 6-6 lineup unless you guys just play terrible after the cut down time. But in this particular case, 6-6 isn't necessarily going to win. So what I want to see you do a little bit is to move up into that 9,000 to 10,000, or even a little bit higher than that, in order to build your cash game team. You're going to want at least one stud on that roster who's got a chance of being in the top 5 for the week. Maybe he doesn't make it, but if you just kind of sit in the middle and are happy to have 6 solid players, more than likely it's probably not going to pay off for you. So you're going to need to be a little bit more aggressive, but at the same time, don't get so aggressive that you end up throwing in a total oddball sleeper at the bottom of the lineup who ends up blowing the cut, because a missed cut this week is going to be especially devastating. So in terms of your cash games, be thinking to be a little bit more aggressive on the top end. As far as GPP, you can still open it up. The pricing this week is still fairly soft. They actually softened it a little bit at the top. So our most expensive player doesn't even exceed 12,000, and that's Jason Day this week. And we kind of suspected after his effort over the weekend that he might be that top player out there. So the pricing is a little softer. So it is going to be a little bit easier this week for GPP scenarios to stack those top guys. You're going to be able to put at least a couple of those guys in, and still not have to stretch too far down to where you're putting in 2 guys at that bottom range near 6,000. So I guess those would probably be the biggest considerations for the week in terms of how you're going to want to construct your lineups. Do you have anything you wanted to add on to that?
Top 70 in the FedEx Cup point standings are going to advance to the BMW Championship, which is actually 2 weeks, which reminds me we won't have a webcast next week because there isn't an event. The BMW's in 2 weeks, so don't look for us because we won't be here next week. We'll hopefully be celebrating from Boston, but we also go back to tournament history being a crucial aspect. The tournament's always at TPC Boston, so we can look at tournament history, and it's very critical this week. TPC Boston is a par 71, measures 7,242 yards, so not a long course, but it does benefit the long hitters. It is there is a premium put on length this week. The key stats we're looking at are par 4, par 5 score, and even par 3 scoring we found are important. Birdie or better percentage, proximity to the hole, and probably the most important this week, strokes gained tee to green. And obviously in fields this tough, putting comes into play. Look at Jason Day last week.
And as an easier course, you're going to have to hit a lot of birdies. So you're going to want to make sure that you're looking at guys who hit a lot of birdies or potential eagles as well. You've got 2 of the par 5s that are fairly reachable. So look for those guys that have the opportunity to put up a lot of birdies and eagles at those holes. There's going to be a handful of guys that can really drive the ball, who should be there in 2, who should be having the opportunity all weekend to be knocking in eagles. So you want to look for guys who have the potential to price score somewhere between -7 to -9 on just those par 5s if they're going to be in contention over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. What do we do with Jason Day this week?
Well, at his price, I think you got to play him this week. He's not out of range, and the players that are in that 7,000 range are good enough so that you can easily fill a team with Day. So if you're putting together one roster and one roster alone, I think it has to probably start with Jason Day. In looking at his statistics, there's really not much as far as any areas of weakness for Day.
Great tournament history here.
Yeah, he's playing really well on the season. And like I said, getting back to his price, it's very easy to take a guy like Day and then stack the rest of your roster with players from the mid 8,000 range to the mid 7,000 range. You don't even really have to get all that deep to keep him on there. But the one drawback with Jason Day this week is nobody's not going to know any of what we just talked about here. So there's going to be a fairly high level of ownership.
Is he going to be the highest owned player this week?
I don't think so.
Who's going to be higher, do you think, than Day?
Well, I think it gets back to our old friend Brooks Koepka, who blew the cut last week. and as such suffered a pretty drastic price increase.
Right.
It went from 9,700 down to 8,700 this week, which makes him incredibly affordable. You'd like to think that, well, again, missed the cut last week, but he has had so many good weeks in a row where he's putting up 80, 90, 100 plus points. And at a course like this where you need a guy who can, hit the par fives, who has a chance to score a lot of eagles and a lot of birdies, a guy like Koepka's got a chance to rack up a lot of points, even if he does have his blow-up round. So I think Brooks will be fairly high, although I do think that Day will be up there. I think Day will be over 20%.
Because the pricing's soft, people are going to gravitate toward Day because they're going to be a little bit scared of Spieth. Spieth struggled with his iron play off the tee last week, and Rory, there's still a lot of question marks surrounding him, although I like him this week. But
I think this is a great week at the top when you're building all your GPP rosters to pivot to Spieth and Rory. Just, if you're making a bunch of rosters, you're going to have a handful a day. You have to have those. But this is a great week. I can't imagine Jordan Spieth coming out this week and laying an egg for the second weekend in a row.
He's bounced back from the events where he's played poorly this year. The following week, he's each time bounced back. So.
But people, for whatever reason, they're not always on board with Spieth to begin with, especially in the smaller GPPs, some of the smaller fields. Yeah, they're not always on board with him. So I think this will be a great week to jump on him and Rory there at the top. Getting down a little bit further, a guy who had some more success last week, came in second place, was Henrik Stenson, a guy we've been kind of waiting for that big finish from, and he gave it to us this week. Is he on your list of guys?
He didn't make my preview. I don't hate him. He's maybe a little bit too expensive. I would just assume just go up a little bit and do Day, Spieth, or McIlroy, and not do Stenson. Justin Rose is right there too, although the thing that concerns me about Justin Rose is his tournament history. He's never played great at TPC Boston. Which
is really strange because I don't see any particular statistics that would lead me to believe he had a problem. He's not a great putter, obviously, but it's a pretty easy course.
His was one of the most resilient performances I think I've ever seen last week, where he was +7 after the first day.
Yeah.
And he came out storming on Friday and made the cut actually.
And Saturday roared back, and he was almost going to be in contention for a bit, and then Sunday just
he was flat. But that was impressive for him. But so I like him because of his current form, but I'm hesitant and I won't load up on him because of his tournament
Although
history.
It does present an interesting contrarian opportunity. Anytime you see guys like that, the first place that everybody is looking to do their research is going to be tournament history. So they're going to look at Rose and say, oh, boy, he's missed some cuts here. Hasn't had a lot of great finishes, but get back to the way he's played this year. Form overrides course history, So always remember, form over course history. And his form has been fantastic this year. And he's going to take a dip as far as ownership because of what happened at the beginning of last week. It's going to be fresh in people's minds. He didn't have a real high finish, so people.
And he's usually one of the lesser popular players up top anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Now, but speaking of course history here, though, one of the guys that I do kind of like this weekend, he hasn't had, the top 10 finishes is Bubba Watson. I know you and I have gone back and forth with Bubba. Obviously, we did the shot there as well. He still finished -11 for the weekend, third for the tournament. A pretty successful overall. If he doesn't have those meltdowns, he's probably in second place all by himself. And I think at 9,800, he makes for a real attractive option if you want to start a lineup with Bubba Watson and then Brooks Koepka there, boom, boom. You got a couple big scores right off the top. And he's not going to miss, he's not going to miss the cut. And the things that we get to, we reiterate again and again, Bubba has really increased. He's really picked up his game a lot this season. When I ran my numbers, he's coming out anywhere between 2 and 5 as far as statistically who lines up the best for the course. And that just gets back to the way he has improved his short game this year as far as his wedge play, as far as his putting.
Outside of 3 feet.
The 3 feet, right, exactly. But that's what happened. That you take that with Bubba. There's certain guys that going in have that capacity to just steam up and blow a few shots, blow 3-4 shots in a round, and that's what you get with him. But at 9,800, he makes for a great option. He's had a really good year. I think he's looking to close pretty strong. So although the tournament history is not littered with top 10s the way you'd like to see, overall I think Bubba is going to be a strong play for the week. We've already talked a little bit about about Koepka going down from there. Who's the next guy that you're starting as far as the middle of the field to like to put on some rosters?
I like several of the guys down below. I do like Matt Kuchar this week. He disappointed us last week. And a lot of people, because he was very heavily owned. Everything's set up nicely for him, but now people will be off him a little bit. They'll be bitter about his performance last week, and I think it's a good opportunity for him. Dropped down to 8,000 and 7,900. A couple of our favorite players, Robert Streb, Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas is a killer in par 5 scoring, which is key this week. And he's been playing really great golf lately.
Much more consistent than that middle point. Hit that rough patch in the middle where it looked like he was going to tumble like Daniel Berger did, but then he kind of caught himself, and although he still has those struggles on Sunday afternoon when he's in contention, as long as he's in that 10 to 20 range for you, he's not going to feel the nerves, he's not going to feel the pressure, and you should be able to finish up reasonably well. But he's another guy who's got a chance to make some eagles and a chance to make some birdies. And hopefully he'll kind of threaten that top 10 threshold a little bit for us too.
And Robert Streb, who's always consistent. He actually faltered on Sunday quite a bit.
Sure.
And I had him on a lot of cash game teams, so I was a little bit upset. I still won a lot of my cash games, so I was actually kind of okay with it. So his price didn't escalate too much this week, and too many people would be on him, because I do like him a lot this week. So I was kind of okay with the Sunday setback.
Right, yeah, and then just getting a little bit below that, and we got another score in Tony Finau. Here's a guy who's really emerged all season long. He's just become a top 25 machine. Anywhere between 15 and 25. We're kind of joking on Saturday at our fantasy football draft. He said, well, if you need a top 25, Finau will get you a T19. If you need a top number 1 or number 2 finish, Finau will get you a T19. He's been right in that range all year, so you definitely can't complain. I mean, the guy is below the average salary price.
$7,700. It went up $400 this week.
Hits the ball a mile. The putting numbers that you're going to see for him are going to show that he's ranked outside of the top 100. But from what I've actually watched of him over the last few events, his putting has actually improved pretty dramatically. So I think that's a huge shift for him. And then as far as par 4 and par 5 scoring, very, very solid play there, and he hits a reasonable number of greens. So again, we're looking for guys in a tournament where you're going to see a score of maybe minus 20 for the winner this week. Guys that can score. Finau, definitely a guy that can score. So it's 7,700, still below the average salary price. I don't know that I understand that completely, but
I don't either.
Yeah, but a real bargain there, and somebody who I feel pretty safe with at this point. He disappointed us 1 week when we each wrote him up. I think it was back at the John Deere. But other than that, he's been great for probably about the last 3 to 4 months now. So a nice little streak.
As I analyze the prices this week, I don't think I'm going to go below 6,500 with any of my plays this week. There's just too much in question.
Too much risk. Yeah.
There's too much risk. Even if you do a stars and scrubs lineup, you can do that and still have $6,500 and $6,700 guys. So I'm not going to go below 6,500 because no one stands out.
Charles Howell III is kind of that bottom.
Yeah, he's probably the bottom that I would go this week. I do like Will Wilcox at 6,800.
Sure, another guy.
Speaking of meltdowns,
yeah, we could have done about 6 shots for the last 6 holes that he played over the weekend. We heard a lot of pains and a lot of groans over Twitter. We didn't write him up last week, and that was actually one of the things that we've specifically mentioned is that no matter how he's playing, sometimes somehow the guy is always just tiptoeing right on that cut line. Come Friday afternoon, everybody is sweating him.
Yep.
If he gets through there, he's great the rest of the weekend, but somehow that cut sweat on Friday afternoon is where he tends to have his breakdowns. And sure enough, those last 6 holes, he dropped 6 strokes to finish just 1 shot off the cut, which I think is the third cut that he's missed this year, where he's been just
in the last month and a half, I think.
Right.
But this week, though, with more people making the cut, it's going to be easier for him to get through.
And it's an easier course. It sets up really well for him. I mean, statistically, he's really made for the course. Although I did read today on Twitter, kind of late in the day, that he actually slammed his knee in a car door. So
here we go again.
I know. If I could just...
What is wrong with these guys?
If I could just shut my ears off to these things, because now I'll probably ignore the guy. Go out there and he'll be like T3 or something on the week. But, you look on Twitter, you're trying to find all this information, and sure enough, you see, and he said it was from him. It wasn't from anywhere else. He said, yeah, bang my knee in a car door. So
I realize you can't wrap these guys in bubble wrap, but Jason Day, what are you doing underneath your motor coach?
Why are you lifting your bags? You have a guy for that?
You have people. They can go under and take a look at the motor coach. I don't know. It never came out.
Chris Carter would be embarrassed, right?
That's right. That's right.
You need a fall guy, and you need a bag guy, right? You're going to have an entourage, you go all out.
Yep. I did take a look at, I actually got a couple questions about his wife and when she's due. We obviously can see she's very pregnant, but that shouldn't be an issue.
It's the playoffs.
No, he's a guy who would leave in a heartbeat if she went into labor, but she's about 10 weeks shy of the due date. So I looked into it to answer your question. Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue.
I guess I got to question his dedication. If that's what's going on. That sounds like some bullshit right there.
Yeah, he could win a whole $1.5 million for him. Big deal. He could care less.
That's true.
Digging his couch cushions for that right now. So that's all the players that we got for this week. Anything else to add, Zachary?
No. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. We're going to try to give you as much access as we can while we're out in Boston this week. We're going to try to do a couple extra Periscope sessions. Roger had a good idea today. Maybe doing like a little bit of a round table with the three of us talking strategy. We're going to try to get a lot of video, a lot of pictures. So hopefully over the next week we'll be able to kind of compile our whole experience for you to bring you to as close to the excitement as possible, so that next year when they have the same kind of contest, which I'm imagining is only going to be
it'll be bigger next year.
I'm imagining first prize will be $500,000 or $1 million. It'll be on par with a lot of the football and baseball contests that they do. So we'll try to bring you as much of the action as we can, so that next year you're all motivated to be in these contests and get there with us.
Yep. What time's Periscope on Wednesday?
Wednesday it's going to be at 9 o'clock Central Time, and I talked to Roger. Roger also plans to continue doing his Periscope tomorrow, so I think he'll be doing his at either 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll talk to him. We'll put that on Twitter for you.
Okay. If you haven't checked out our friends and partners at Fantasy Aces, we've had a lot of luck. Roger actually writes the column for the Fantasy Aces preview every week. It's extremely good. He gives out great recommendations, and a ton of people have been hitting us up on Twitter and emails with positive feedback. They're winning money on Fantasy Aces, so if you haven't, be sure to click through our link so we get some credit for it and we can put the money back into the site. So we appreciate that. Other than that, that's all we got. We're not going to sleep for the next few nights in prep for Boston, and hopefully next time we see you in a couple of weeks, we'll have one of those big Happy Gilmore checks to show you and share with Team FGI. So
absolutely.
For now, have a great week. Good luck on the Deutsche Bank, and win all your contests.
Good luck.